Today's video is brought to you by Thor Media and the House of Rags. So head on over to thehouseofrags.com. They are currently running their Labor Day sale, and that is 20% off all US brands, USA made brands, including my brand, QUIVR. So head on over there, no discount code needed, just the discounts will be applied at checkout. So head on over there for that, and anything else across the site, if you want, use code I'mJoshV for an additional 10% off. So let's get into this. All right, guys, so a couple things I wanted to talk about today. Number one is going to be the pressure washer. Updates for you guys, where we're at in the process and when to expect it to really be coming out. So aside from that, we're also going to be talking about a few new products that I have coming in the short term that will be here very, very quickly. So number one, though, most important thing to me really is the pressure washer. It's a complete passion project. I absolutely love the whole process on this. I love pressure washers, and I want to deliver the best thing that I possibly can, as you all know. Now, with that said, I want to give you guys some transparency into the process that I've had so far and why it's taking so long. So I initially announced the pressure washer and the QUIVR brand at SEMA last year. So that was like November of last year. So we're a good 10 months into that now, right? Ish, just about. And I had a factory that I was working with, and then I got sidebarred. Another factory came to me. They said, hey, we have some steps already taken in the direction of what we think you want, which in my head I was like, great, that's going to speed up the timeline so I can get this out to you guys as fast as possible. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. It took, 4 or 5 months, something like that, before I realized I don't think that they're going to be able to achieve exactly what I'm looking for. And so unfortunately, we wasted about 4 or 5 months. Now, I say waste, but at the same time, it was a learning experience, right? So always try and make use of all time, even if it seems like it's wasted. It was a good learning experience. But we're back to the original factory, and I couldn't be happier. The process is amazing. So the initial prototype is what I've had, and I've been testing a ton. And within that, there has been some manipulation that I've had to do, and working with the factory and the engineers to do that. From what I've found across every factory that I've talked to and things like that with pressure washers is that the engineers tend to be, it's an engineer, right? The mathematical brains, and they're very specific to the numbers. They say, we're using this motor, we're using this pump, we're using this nozzle, this is the performance we should be getting out of it. So they start building from there. Now with mine, this is a specially developed, really high flow pump. And so with that, we're having a little bit of back and forth on trying to get everything dialed in. Now, my pressure washer is going to be utilizing an axial pump, which has a wobble plate style system inside of it. What that is there's, you can open up the pump head and there's a wobble plate that sits there. So it's basically like a little donut, and it's raised up to a certain degree on one side. What that does is that rotates around and pushes the pistons up throughout the pump head, and that's what causes you to build pressure and things like that, and pump the water through. So the pistons or plungers, again, depending on the angle of that wobble plate, have different travel, right? So initially I had 1 degree set, and it was really close. Again, the numbers on paper looked perfect. The factory was testing it and they were getting good numbers. I was testing it here and I was over amping. I was going above the 15 amp mark. So everyone's power supply is a little bit different. There's a lot of different factors. And for me, my voltage comes in at 120, and then when you fire on the machine, it drops to about 113 and a half. The factory wasn't dropping that low, so they were getting better performance out of it. So we changed out the wobble plate, we changed the degree to try and get this thing to be exactly where I want it. So we did that, and everything's looking really, really good. The amps dropped, however, it was still a little bit off. I was able to manipulate the nozzle a little bit and get it to exactly where I wanted it to be. So my current numbers that I'm getting with this thing, just under 15 amps, we're about 14.8, 14.9 amps, 1,000 PSI, 2.1 gallons per minute. Now we can actually open that up a little bit, and then I'm getting like 900 PSI, but I was getting that 2.15-ish gallons per minute. So just an absolute ton of flow. So I feel like I'm good to go with those numbers. I really, really like them. However, when we look at what the factory's performance is getting, it seems like there's a little bit of room there. Maybe I can get either my performance up or at least drop my amps down a little bit. So we're working on that to get that whole process finalized, and then we can start into the normal production process. Now we'll talk about the production process really quickly here in a minute, but I want to talk to you guys about design. So the initial design is basically exactly where we're at. I went back and forth. We were trying to figure out. I even had you guys comment on power switch on the top or power switch in the front. And some people said one way, some people said the other. Ultimately, I was going to change it to the front. That was after the initial thing, because my thought process was, if you're mounting this thing on a shelf and it's high up, you don't want to reach out. You'd be kind of searching for the power button. However, at the same time, if you're not mounting it and using it on the ground, switch on the top's much, much easier. Also, the way this thing is going to be designed with the little cleat, so you can mount it on the wall vertically, which was a really cool thought. I'm trying to kind of get it to fit into tighter spaces so you don't take so much wall space up. And then you would want that button, again, on top where the handle is, because then it's right in front of you. So I'm gonna go with and keep on with the power switch being right on top. Additionally, I did have to move the water inlet valve, not valve, but the water inlet back a little bit, because otherwise it was touching too close to the frame. I didn't want it to be hard to get it in there and get it all done. As far as the water inlet goes, I'm going with the traditional like hexagonal style, so you can get a wrench on there and actually tighten it down properly, as opposed to the bigger, grips sometimes that you can hand tighten. I wanted it to be, again, this is more professional style. I wanted to be able to get it locked into exactly where you want it. So the design, again, I'm extremely, extremely happy with. I think it's coming along phenomenally well. Now let's go ahead and get into, like I said, once we finalize and get everything all dialed in for the performance, again, I'm extremely happy with where it's at, but I want to deliver the absolute best product to you guys as possible. So it's still not finalized. It's right there, but I'm trying to see if we can milk a little bit more out of it. So here's the production line, just so you guys can get an idea of how long this actually takes. So quick, rough estimates. Now, the factory's production time is basically 2 months for 2 months for each process. So I'm giving myself 2 months to finalize the last steps to get it dialed in completely. And then we can do a surface treated sample for me to start testing. Then it's just going to help with longevity of the machine and all that kind of good stuff. So we're stating that for basically a third week of November, right? Have that all dialed in and finalized. Now, as soon as that is done, we can go into the tooling process. Again, this thing is a ground up new production pressure washer. So we have to do all the tooling to be able to build these things out, right? So tooling, again, they're giving us a 2-month window. I'm hoping we can speed that up. I don't know. This is my first time going through this whole production process, building a pressure washer. So I don't know for sure if I can speed that up. I'm hoping we can, right? I'm hoping, but I just don't know, to be perfectly honest. Now, once the tooling is done, obviously we can start building some units and doing all that. But once we do that, we start testing for everything, all the longevity, all that kind of stuff. So the initial test, the performance will be there, but then we start testing for longevity and all that, right? So I'll have a unit, another sample, and I'll start trying to beat it up a little bit and put it through the paces. Also, the factory has all these machines, all these different tests set up so that they can simulate, length of time, how much, basically every little thing. So we have a full transparent idea of what to expect on longevity, where we put the warranty, all that kind of good stuff for the unit itself. Now, like I said, that's another 2-month process. Testing, I don't want to rush that. Right? To be fair, I don't want to rush that, because I think that's going to be one of the key components to make sure that this is going to be the unit that I want it to be for all of you. So testing is probably going to be a true 2 months. Can we do it faster? Maybe. I don't know for sure, but I'm hoping, I'm hoping we can, but I'm really reserving that whole 2 months for that. Now, from there, once everything is all done, we go into actual production, and then production depends on how many units I order on the initial run. So it's not cheap to do this by any means. So I'm trying to really get it. I'm going to try and gauge when it gets closer. I'll try and do it like a mailing list or something to try and gauge how many units we need to do for our pre-order, right? So that's just where it's at. Again, each of these processes is 2 months. So we're really looking at, because we're starting those processes, but whatever, through starting once the unit is completely dialed in. So it's going to be probably June at this point, unless we can speed up the production process and speed up the tooling process. Then I'm hoping we can get it out quite a bit earlier. But I will still have a 3D molded prototype at least available. I'm planning on bringing that to SEMA. And then we can also talk about some of the other new products that I have coming out in the short term. It's exciting because it's right around the corner. Now, product number 1 is going to be QUIVR Abyss. Abyss, Again, keeping with that surfing terminology and stuff, and a deep trench in the ocean where the water gets super, super dark. And I was like, that's a good name for my tire and trim dressing, right? You want to darken those panels and make them look really good. So my tire dressing is a water-based sprayable tire dressing. So if you have those, off-road tires, with the bigger knobs on, you can actually spray in there and it looks fantastic. If you're applying with a sponge or something like that, it spreads super, super easily, really nice. And then you can actually dilute this down as well for your trim or even your interior. For your tires, I typically like to use it just straight out of the bottle, but if it's a maintenance type of a thing and you don't want to do it, you can cut it down quite a bit and you just get a beautiful, like really natural brand new tire look. It's really, really nice. So I'm excited for that one. Production is done and the initial production is done, and I'm going to be launching that first week, I believe, of September. Now, additionally, I have 3 more products coming in right after that. I'm going to have QUIVR Brake, just like a surf brake, so B-R-E-A-K. And that is going to be my wheel and tire cleaner. It's a high alkaline product, not an acidic wheel cleaner. And it is it works so well. You can use it straight or you can dilute it down. In those cases where you have really, really heavy built up, just nasty brake dust built into the wheel where it doesn't want to come out, spray that on there, let it dwell for a little bit, rinse it away. Obviously agitate with a brush if you need to, but the reason I like this so much is a lot of times you don't even have to agitate really. You can really just blast it off with the pressure washer and it comes out looking fantastic. So that one's coming very, very soon as well. I'm in the final stabilizing stage with this to make sure the color doesn't change, to make sure everything doesn't change after sitting on a shelf for quite some time, right? So that one, actually all of these are going to be in that same process right now. So they're coming soon after that, except for QUIVR Abyss is ready and that will be coming out, like I said, in a couple weeks here. Or what is that, 2 weeks, 1 week, something like that? It's right around the corner. The next one is going to be QUIVR Indo, and this is going to be my rinseless wash. Now, again, guys, if you watch my channel and you know me, I don't use a rinseless wash all the time, but there's definitely situations where I do need it. And I wanted to have one specifically for again, the whole line is built selfishly off of what I want for my detailing business, right? And I'm going a little bit deeper into the chemical line because I am bringing staff on into my business, and I want to have a nice cohesive line so they can go like, hey, grab this for these situations. They don't have to kind of guess and go back and forth. So that's really the whole purpose of building this whole thing out cohesively. Now my rinseless wash is going to be called Indo, like Indonesia. The reasoning behind that, again, with the surfing, Indonesia, you say Indo for short, amazing waves, like some of the best surf in the entire world. And then also just personal history. I'm Dutch Indonesian. My dad was actually born in Indonesia. So I thought that was a cool play on words to be able to kind of tie all that stuff in. So very excited for that one. Not only does it clean extremely well, I use it to clean out my pads. It's phenomenal. Like, so when I'm polishing a car, you get that buildup, spray it in there, agitate a little bit, turn your machine on, and it cleans the pads really, really well. Additionally though, when you are using it as just a rinseless wash, it does leave behind not a lot of protection. Don't get me wrong, it's not a lot of protection, but it does leave behind some protection. It doesn't affect your coatings or anything like that as a top coat or anything like that. You're totally fine. And then additionally, you can dilute it down into either the rinseless way, or you could dilute it less and use it as a waterless wash if you want to. And last but not least, QUIVR Pineapple. Pineapple, yes. So kind of a funny play on words. I wanted a citrus-based all-purpose cleaner, and it's going to have a pineapple scent. So I figured let's call it Pineapple, all being for all-purpose cleaner. So this stuff is incredible. I've been using it a ton, and it's like super dilutable and really, really, really effective. I actually did a vehicle earlier this week. It was an older Jaguar, and the interior had been redone, but it was re-dyed. So I was very hesitant to go in too aggressive, but there was also a lot of marks on the leather and things like that. So I'm like, I gotta get that out, but I don't wanna pull anything. This stuff did such a good job. So dilution ratios, you can use it a few different ways. My most common ways of using it are 10 parts water, 1 part product for the heavy stains on like upholstery and carpets. On interior panels, I typically go 25-1. So again, an absolute bang for your buck. Really, really fantastic product. I'm very excited for that one. I always pair that up with a Scrub Ninja from Auto Fiber and just spray it into the Scrub Ninja, go in to agitate, it comes out. It's really, really good. I think you guys are really gonna like that one. Again, pineapple scent. not an overbearing scent, so you don't have to worry about the interior getting too perfumey. It's not bad at all. Like it's just a really, really good product, especially when it's diluted down at 25:1 anyway. So that's it for today's video, guys. I just wanted to bring basically the update for the pressure washer and then let you know what to expect in the next couple of weeks here with the rest of the line as well. I want to say thank you so much to all of you. I really, really, really appreciate all the support. Again, I am building the line out to exactly what I want, honestly. So it's slightly selfish, but I think that what I want for my business applies to everyone anyway, I think. And the current feedback that I've been getting from the products that I put out already has been incredible. So I'm excited to keep bringing out more and more products for you guys. But that's it for today's video. Again, head on over to the House of Rags. No discount code necessary on QUIVR. It'll get you 20% off until through Monday, Labor Day. And again, on everything else, use code I'mJoshV for 10% off. So that's it for today's video, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel as well as the House of Rags. We'll see you guys on the next one.